right, video number 4. You are almost halfway there. Feel free to scroll back to the other videos to catch up if you're starting right here in video 4. Otherwise, feel free to download the workbook in the description and pick up right where we're about to jump off here. So the goal for this video is to make sure that we know how to consolidate text into one column. In our data set, it's going to be our first and last name into one universal name using a simple formula. So I'm going to share out my screen here, and we're going to jump right back into the workbook. It should look just like we left off in the last video. And so we broke in the last video our badge name into first and last. And now, just to go through the exercise, we're going to go and recreate that badge name. And so using a formula, now this is a very direct and simple formula. We're telling the system that we want to do exactly what we're coding in here. I know code is a very, dangerous word, but Excel is very simple codes. And as long as you are able to look up exactly what we're doing on the screen and type in exactly what I'm typing in, you shouldn't have any sort of errors. So to start a formula, and this applies to a complex formula or a direct formula like this one, we're going to type in the equal symbol. This is telling the Excel program we're ready to start a formula. And what I'm going to do is now move my cursor over to the H3 column and select James. And as soon as I clicked on that cell, you can see that H3 appeared in J3. Now, here's where it gets a little bit more complex, and all you need to do is either look back at this video when you need to remember how to do it, or write this step down. But what I'm going to now tell the system is that I want this to include the text from this cell, the content of this cell. So I'm going to put in an ampersand or an and symbol. The next step I'm going to do is put in quotation marks and then click on the space bar and click on quotation marks. What I just did is tell the system I want to add a space between H3 and the next thing that I'm going to put in this formula. To include the next step, I'm going to include another ampersand, and now click on I3. And I3 automatically appears in here. Now, when I press enter on the keyboard, it's going to give me James Barth as first and last name. You want to see? Here we go. If I didn't include that space in between the two quotation marks, it would have given me this. If I wanted to put a hyphen or any other character in between here, I could include that in between the two quotation marks as well. And keep in mind, as long as we have the ampersand symbol, we can continue to combine cells just like this. So if you did a first, middle, and last name, or first and last name, you would be able to use this as many ampersands as you want. Now here's where things start to get fun. Follow along with me here, but when I click on the James Barth badge name, it's actually a formula in here. And what I want to now tell the system is do the same thing for as many rows of this worksheet that I have. So right in the outline, if we follow the outline of the cell around, there's a little square in the bottom right-hand corner. And as my cursor scrolls over that square, it turns into a different symbol. So it's a black plus sign versus the white plus sign. If you turn your cursor into that black plus sign and click down on your mouse and drag the cell down for as long as the workbook will go, as long as you have information in the workbook, it will take that formula and go down the cell. So with 2 clicks and a scroll, we have everyone's first and last name back into the column. Simple as that. Life-changing, right? One additional step that I would highly recommend doing is that we're going to now highlight all of this one more time. And we're actually going to copy. So if you're using a Mac, it's Command-C. If you're using a PC, it's Control-C. And then we're going to paste the same information on top of what we just copied. So you might be asking, why am I doing this? Well, there's an additional step that will protect that information so that even if you make adjustments or you need to do something to that content, we just want the values. We don't want it to be formulas. So when I paste, this little clipboard icon appears. It might be in a different space on your screen depending on where your cursor was, but I want to click on that down arrow and just do values only. The same thing, if you don't see that clipboard sign up here, can actually be found right up here in the upper left-hand corner of the home screen under the down arrow next to the clipboard icon here as well. Either way, we just want to do values. What this just did when I clicked on values only is take away the formatting. So no longer is this a formula. So if I change Lena's name over here, it's going to stay this version over here. Why might I want to do that? Well, if I copy and paste column J into another worksheet or another workbook, you can potentially link your formulas together. And it can cause a corrupt workbook if you've taken it out of this main data source here. And so my recommendation is maybe leave it for one iteration, but as soon as you're ready to go to print or something along those lines, paste the values in only. So in the past two videos, we've taken text and broken it into columns, and we've taken text and brought it back and consolidated it into one column. Pretty incredible, right? So just to clean up our information a little bit, since we now have first, last name, and badge name back to where we want to go, I want to copy both of these columns here and just delete them. And this will basically return our workbook to the iteration that we were looking at 3 videos ago. But hopefully these skills will become super useful and time-saving for you as you're manipulating data within your worksheet here. Next up, we're going to start using the find and replace feature to clean up our data a little bit. So stay tuned, download the workbook in the description, and continue to follow along.